Welcome to the Bend Don't Break podcast. We are powered by The Source, Bend's locally owned media company and weekly newspaper. This podcast is our eddy in the rushing waters of local journalism. We are glad that you're taking some of your time to listen to us chat with the people who shape our local community. Support us through our member program at bensource.com.
Thank you to our presenting sponsor, RE/MAX Key Properties, a family-owned full-service real estate brokerage specializing in residential, luxury, commercial, new construction, and ranch and land properties. Their new state-of-the-art facility at 42 Greenwood Avenue is a modern, collaborative space and the new home of the Bend Don't Break podcast recording studio.
I'm Aaron Switzer, producer of this fine Bend Don't Break podcast and publisher of The Source. I have with me as our guest Steve Platt. He was elected to the Bend City Council in 2024. His background as both a military officer and an educator informs his vision for a thriving Bend, both in the immediate future and in building long-term resilience for Central Oregon. Dedicated to serving as a voice for all of Bend, Steve works to bring the community forwards together. Outside of public service, he can be found with his family on the trails, around the lakes, and on the rivers, enjoying all that Central Oregon has to offer. Steve, thanks for being here.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
So I understand it's the first day of school.
It is.
And you are teaching at Summit.
I am.
So for listeners and viewers, this is a big deal that we got Steve on the first day of school.
It is.
Amidst all the craziness.
Yeah, I've got this little hoarse first day voice, so how trying to project for the kids and stuff. Yeah. So,
you're the newest city councilor, are you not?
Yeah, myself and Gina.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're the two that are first term. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what made you decide you wanted to get into that crazy world? And you know, there's time for regret. I mean, you are.
I'm really enjoying it.
That's great.
It's I love digging in and getting into the detail work. I think one of the things is Catherine and I, moved around with our family for 25 years in the military, and we would, arrive at all these awesome, amazing communities. We lived all over the world, Turkey. We lived in all of the continental United States and Alaska. And we always would say, they're just neat things that they're doing here.
Yeah.
And we'd like to get involved, but then 2 years we'd be gone, right? Because the military told us where to live. So I think when Catherine and I finally arrived here, when the military wasn't telling us where to move, but we got to choose, we said, let's dig in and see if we can help a little bit. And so it's our home. It's our forever home.
Yeah.
We've been here since 2017. And, I felt like I maybe had a little something to offer that I might help try to make the city a little bit better based on my experiences that I had before.
Yeah. You're a veteran, your background, as you mentioned, the military, but it's not your everyday run-of-the-mill kind of service. You had kind of an extraordinary career with the military. Maybe tell us a little bit about that.
I as a high school student, and even younger, I wanted to be a fighter pilot. And so
every kid wants to be a fighter
exactly,
pilot.
Yeah.
There aren't a whole lot of them that end up in the cockpit. So.
Yeah. So I made it happen.
Yeah.
I went to the Air Force Academy, and in fact, I met Catherine at the Air Force Academy.
Okay.
It was fantastic, and went to pilot training and did the things, did well enough that I ended up getting to choose to go to fighters. I did all the things. I started flying fighters in about 93. So if you know your history, sort of 93 on, I was kind of around when we were doing things in the Middle East. And so I did some of those things. Commanded a bunch, ended up going to weapons school, which is like the Air Force's Top Gun, only a lot better than the Navy's Top Gun. I'm just going to throw that
better
out
than the movie?
Yeah, oh yeah. So, except no volleyball. We didn't play volleyball out there. So, but yeah, so I
you were a commander. You weren't just a flyer, but you commanded those squadrons.
I did, and I ended up as a colonel, a full bird colonel, commanding a group up in Alaska, and I found that I really, really liked command. It's stressful.
Yeah.
And yet you really can have an effect.
Yeah.
You know, you can help young folks move forward in their career. You can have impact on policy.
Yeah.
You know, and so there were young enlisted troops that I helped get into the officer corps. There were folks that were not qualified for pilot status, and I helped them get into pilot status, and just, you know, the kinds of things that were just very, very rewarding for me. At the same time that there's a lot of stress associated with.
One does not imagine being a squadron leader without a lot of stress.
Yeah.
Taking to the air and just kind of, I guess that's what Sunday out at Bend Municipal Airport is for.
Sure. It's very similar. Very similar. Yep.
How long had you been retired before you moved to Bend?
So I retired in 2015, and Catherine and I spent a couple years in Davis, California, where Catherine got her fellowship in chronic pain, and I got a teaching license.
Wow.
And so then in 2017, we moved up here. And then I started teaching shortly thereafter. So
you didn't let the moss grow.
No. Yeah, wanted to put those skills to use.
So you're currently a physics teacher over at Summit High, and you're recently embarked on another physics class?
Yeah, this year the Bend Pine schools have kind of flipped the script as it goes to the science curriculum. Probably when you were in high school, when I was in high school, it was biology, chemistry, and then some other form of science, maybe some physics. It's sort of a broader movement, just not in our district, to put physics first.
Oh, wow.
And so this is...
So you get for science curriculum, you know, when I went to school, we selected, you could take chemistry, geology, physics.
Right.
And then I think you had to take a second one, and you had to take some out of your discipline. But you have to take physics, or you're taking it first?
Yeah, so we have a core now. And the core is you will take physics, you will take chemistry, and you will take biology. And there's not a real parachute out option. It's let's help you get there.
That could have been painful for me.
I know there's a lot of physics trauma out there. I deal with a lot of physics trauma.
I can imagine.
But I think it's the idea is that when freshmen are coming into high school, if you put them in sort of a very conceptual intro level physics course, there's some math that pairs well with the math that they're doing at the freshman level. And it's a spiral of learning where they see the math and then they apply the math in physics. And so there's some science behind that science choice. So we'll see. It's a new program. I'm piloting it for Summit. And so, you know, hoping for good things.
Was there ever a moment in that brief, what was it, 12-hour period during your retirement where you thought I should just take it easy?
Well, you know, we tried. So Catherine and I took a year in Davis, the first year, and we were Uber volunteers for our son's 6th grade class.
Okay.
We did all the things. We were camp counselors for a sleepaway camp for the year. We helped all the classroom, and the teacher kept saying, "Are you still available?" And we said, "Yep, we're still available." And so we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I think we said that there's a little bit more that we can help with.
Yeah,
so that's
great.
That's why we do that. So
maybe share a little bit as a incoming city councilor, new to that's your first government position. I mean, first elected position.
That's true.
Correct.
Yeah.
What strikes you about that when you first walk in? You're sitting behind the thing. They're going through the minutes. The community's there. What's maybe walk us through that a little bit?
Well, it's a weight of responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, in some respects, it rhymes with command a little bit. You know, in terms of, I mean, you're not a commander, but you are one of 7 people who make votes that have real impact on the daily lives of everyone around the community, all the members of the community. And so you feel that weight. And for me, you feel a real desire to get it right. Yeah. You know, to not walk into there unprepared. And so it's a lot of homework. Yeah. It's a lot of just asking staff, who I must say are very responsive, questions.
Yeah.
Can you explain this to me? I don't understand why we're doing it this way. Can you explain it to me? And, a lot of times the answer is because of these reasons, and it makes a lot of sense.
Right.
So I feel responsibility.
Yeah. I mean, as a town, I know, having published and watched city councilors in their positions taking various amounts of the kind of weight that you're talking about. But the town is growing. I mean, it's just so many more people in here. I mean, if as a percentage of the folks that are, under your responsibility, it just keeps growing, obviously exponentially. And the scope and the size of the projects, the amount of money that's involved, how much of that do you feel as you come in?
Well,
and you got to see it in the faces of the staff, I imagine.
For sure. One of the things that I did, was work on the budget committee for a couple of years before I ran, and so I had a sense of the size of the budget, and down to the dollars and cents. So that, so you understand the impact and you understand the dollars that are moving. I did do a lot of the Air Force budget when I wasn't flying jets, so moved real big dollars for there, and understood the impact of those and a well-spent dollar, public dollar. And so I think what I see is that those resources are so precious and really need to be allocated in a open, transparent, and defendable manner. And we need to be able to stand behind every choice we make. So I think that's the sense that I get.
There's a level of intensity among people within the community on social media. I mean, obviously we're journalists and we're a part of it, but I've always been struck more so, I think, even than state senators or legislatures, and maybe I just don't see them as closely, but man, do the people put a focus on city council and council dollars. And what does that look like from your side of the chair?
I'm not real active on the social.
I can't imagine you have a big Instagram page.
I don't. No. And I don't want to disengage. Right. And I want to honor that form of communication, and also acknowledge that that's not an area that I'm particularly strong in, and so I need help understanding that. And the city has a staff that communicates to help us communicate with various levels of
Thank God.
Yes, I know it's very helpful.
I'm always surprised when I see city councilors like jumping down into the sty and just starting to get in there.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it was Megan, wasn't it? Megan was, during the last campaign, we were watching it like, wow, that's a level of engagement. I don't know if that's
she's
healthy.
Not scared.
No, she's not
scared. No,
she's not. She rose up to national prominence. I think she was during her campaign was getting some of that kind of level. So it can get there. It can get pretty out of hand.
It can. And, the emails that we get, a lot of them are, I see a problem. Can you help with the solution? And that's the vast majority of them.
Yeah.
But there are some repeat writers who, have expletive-laden emails to us that tell us that we're not doing a good job in a variety of different ways.
Right.
And so, but it's important to me to try to, I read through the all of the things and I go, yes, and is there a problem right here that I can identify? Because clearly this person is very unhappy.
Yeah.
And within the sphere of influence that I have, is there something that I can do to help adjust that? And sometimes the answer is no.
Right.
And just like being a commander,
sometimes it's knowing that you don't know, or that
it's
not, you're not going to be able to fix that problem.
Right. And being okay with that.
Yeah.
And acknowledging that you're not going to make everybody happy, but I just hope they all feel listened to.
Yeah.
And that's part of leadership. And then, folks get another chance to tell me how I did my job, if and when I choose to run again.
Yeah.
Right. So
sounds like you got the right temperament. I don't know what I would do when that flamethrower got turned on me. I would, someone would have to break my thumbs. I'd probably hit that keyboard pretty hard.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you, as you get in there now, and right. I think if I remember correctly, you kind of ran on a platform of being fiscally responsible, getting in there, understanding. Now that you're getting, I'm sure by now, a good baseline. Where are your interests drifting? What are the things you want to put your energies into?
Yeah. And I appreciate that question. One of the things when I was on the budget committee, I sort of took the city to task on how I felt that they were allocating their overtime dollars. And, when they came back to the budget with us next time, and I was now sitting on council, they had made some real updates to their overtime policy. So I felt like
they were like, "Oh, we won."
Well, yeah. A little bit.
He's coming.
Yeah. And I asked a lot of those kinds of questions. Right. And I'm not saying that anybody was doing anything wrong, but it was a reallocation of resources, and I think a defendable position. So we went through that budget pretty extensively again. So I feel good about that. But where my interests are now is I feel like we've really made some hay as far as some affordable housing goes. It's a lot of work we got to do still, but that affordable housing piece and my colleagues and the first responders that I rode with this summer, I rode with the police and the EMS and talked to them. And, the vast majority of the new hire police don't live in the community. They have to live in the out towns and then drive in every day. So so that housing, that affordability, we say it again and again. It's if you live in Bend, you ought to be able to work in Bend or work in Bend and live in Bend. Right. But I believe that kind of thing. So the affordable housing across the spectrum is really important to me. How we move around the city safely, the transportation system, multimodal.
Seems like you've got a ton of focus and attention on that. If I could go back to the social media thing, that's where I see it the most.
Oh, yeah. We hear a lot on you're just building for bikes, you hate cars and all the things. Yeah, it's true. And I will tell you, for me, the interest level really wraps that whole thing within a larger environmental perspective. Yeah. Because if you have to live a long ways away and drive in, you're spending a lot of time in the car, you're burning a lot of carbon, and it's just a lot of extra miles on our roads. We're trying to pass this road budget right now. Yeah. Man, this transportation budget, that's exacerbating the problem. If you have to, and so if we can do something to bend the arc of our carbon footprint for the community over the long term, that is really where I'm chiefly focused. Yeah. But that housing, that transportation, all of those, wildfire resilience, all of those fold within that broader theme, which is where I'm focused.
Especially with things like housing, you're a little hamstrung by the environment, by what just the levers you have to pull at the city council level. I see again a lot of this commentary about, well, why can't the city, do this, that, and the other? And a lot of that is outside of the city's purvey, is it not?
It sure is. And there's this interplay between us and the county as well in terms of lands within the UGB the county controls and any expansion that occurs. I think, I feel like this tax increment financing program that we've put in place, where we have said that we're going to freeze your taxes as long as you have a percentage of affordable housing that we agree with, 15% is a minimum. We're going to give you a tax base freeze for a significant length of time. That program has yielded a little over 1,100 proposed dwellings that have to be occupied within 3 years. So that's a big deal. And and 15% of those, it's more like 18% of those are guaranteed affordable housing. And they have to, those builders and those owners who are going to run those properties have to come back to us every year and prove that they have maintained the affordable percentage of their units. And then they will get their property taxes refunded to them.
right.
So we can hold
So
that
you got a
to
little
them.
teeth in it.
Right. And so and that's as opposed to the MUPD program that ended based on public, input, which I think rightly so. We're getting more affordable housing. And so that, I feel like that's kind of bending the curve. However, if you look at the units that we have approved, these 7 projects that we've approved, in fact, Britta Ridge just broke ground, and they're starting to happen right now. But if you look at those projects right there are sections of the Oregon Housing Needs Analysis that needs to be filled, our goal. And the 80% area median income to 120% area median income, most of the housing that we've approved, whether it's rental or housing that's being built out on the market, falls into that zone. And so for below 80%, 60% and below, and even permanent supportive housing, that is just really tough to build. And so to your point exactly, we're trying to figure out what other levers are there. And are there dollar level? A lot of it's probably dollar levers.
Yeah.
And so we have another committee that we started on that I'm on, this housing options made for everyone, the home committee, where we're trying to figure out are there any other low hanging fruit that we can do to get this whole theme of this whole range of housing built out. And for me, the reason I really focus on this is because the Oregon Housing Needs Analysis says that in the next 20 years, we need over 33,000 more units.
Well, not to get too wonky for people out there, but you have a UGB expansion that is in the very early stages, if I know the time, if I understand the timeline correctly. And you're going to be you're somewhat constrained on what you can do based on Oregon's land use laws with regard to what can be allocated for affordable housing. Where can you build at? Because I remember talking about this to the city, and I was like, well, you can do whatever you want once you open that up. And he was like, we're dictated to heavily by Salem.
It's true. And one of the reasons Catherine and I moved to Oregon was because of the unique land use system.
Right. We love it.
We do.
Redmond and Bend are still separate somewhat.
Right. Right. It's true. Right. And so what does it come down to is it comes down to what we call gentle density or infill, our options. And what does that mean? That probably means in closer, up taller,
right.
is what that means. But really, I guess from the environmental standpoint, what I look at is 33,000 more units. We've got 43,000 units right now. So that's math in public, but I checked this. It's about 79% more housing units in the next 20 years.
Jeez.
And so now, we'll see if we make those targets and things can change. But here's the rub for me as somebody who's focused on the environment. If you can change the heating source and the power source for that new home, that stock that we're going to add is going to have a dramatic increase in the changes that we are going to make in our carbon footprint reduction. And so right now, we are trying to do this electrification process, which is going to get emotional. It really is.
Yeah.
But we just got data in our last meeting that says that the most recent data that we have is 95% of homes, single family homes, had some form of gas in their permit.
Oh, okay.
Right there. So 95%. Now, that's not all of the homes that are being produced or the units that are being produced. If you go to the multifamily units, those are high percentage electric only.
Yeah.
Heat pumps, that kind of thing. But if we are going to electrify our community over the coming years, days, weeks, months, and decades, which I believe we should do, if we can bend the curve on the single family housing, that 95%, I think that's a real effect that we can have, and something I'm really focused on.
We are at the end of our time chatting.
Wow.
Here, Steve. I know it goes fast.
Yeah.
Anything that I haven't poked you about that you'd like to tell listeners, viewers? You seem like you're having fun with this.
I really dig it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
do.
can tell.
And I just,
I mean, some people get in and they, you know, their bend is, you know, they love the attention, the power, even if it is just city council power,
Right,
you know,
right.
But they love it. But you seem to love the numbers,
I do. I dig in and
which is
stuff.
why you were elected, I think.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the endorsement. Thank you very much. So, but I guess all I'd ask is reach out, you know, let me know what we're missing.
Yeah.
Because I know we've all got blind spots. So let me know.
Sure.
So
Steve, thanks for taking the time.
it's my pleasure. Thank you.
This has been the Bend Don't Break podcast. If you like conversations like this with Councilman Steve Platt here, then go to our website, become a member, support the source, and we will keep doing these for everyone that's listening and viewing. Thank you.
Thanks.
You've been listening to the Bend Don't Break podcast, powered by The Source Weekly. To read, hear, and see more of what we do, go to bensource.com.